It is all included. It's all included. It's all included. It's all included. It's all included, family. Do not believe any non-dual communicator who tries to create some kind of ultimate negation. There are so many ways that non-dual communicators are out here subtly negating this sacramental human journey that we're on, dismissing it as a mere illusion or, a simulation, or saying that there's no one here, or saying that, we're all just empty husks, or that we don't even know if other people exist. It's all included. It's all included. It's all included as this completeness that is here right now, as this completeness, this infinity is right here, right now, and it includes everything. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be subtracted. If you just tune into that, if you really honestly ask yourself, does anything need to be added or subtracted from this moment? Can I honestly say that anything needs to be added or subtracted? Or can you get a sense of this inherent quality of fullness, this inherent quality of completeness, this inherent quality of self-sufficiency? How everything instantaneously appears in this flash of light, and it appears as this completeness. Nothing is blocking anything else. Everything is absolutely full. Everything fits together in this profound sense. Nothing is ever truly blocking anything else. The moment appears as this completion. And however that is showing up, however that seems to be, is all fully included, fully included, fully included. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Is it emptiness or is it form? Both, neither, far simpler than either. Both, neither, far simpler than either. It's just this right here. Just this right here. Where else have you ever been than right here, right now? And hasn't this right here, right nowness always included everything you've ever experienced? Have you ever experienced anything that was anywhere else other than right here, right nowness that is complete unto itself? Complete unto itself. It's fully inclusive. It's fully inclusive of this sacramental incarnation, this sacramental human poetry of incarnation, these journeys that we are on as human beings. I'm here. I'm real, baby. Nothing to do but be you, baby. We're here. We're solid. We're real. We're human beings. This thusness, this completion, this completeness is presenting as this sacramental journey of incarnation. And at the same time, we are this infinity that cannot be spoken and cannot be pinned down. And whatever story we tell about it, if we tell a story about a sacramental human incarnation, that story is never going to be able to fully contain, fully express, fully pin down what this is. It's too vast, it's too infinite, it's too slippery, it's too direct, it's too immediate, it's too strange, it's too multidimensional, it's too all-inclusive, it's too everything at once. It's too both, neither, far beyond either. So our stories, for all of their potency, for all of their power, for all of their archetypal resonance, God bless the holy word, the mystery of the holy word. Our words are not just mere conceptual fabrications that are garbage and just need to be cast aside, as many non-dual communicators often make them seem to be. No, the word is a holy mystery. The word speaks creation into being. The word is a primordial mystery. What is a word? What is this that I'm doing by speaking this? How is this being transmitted? How is this being apprehended on your end by whatever is apprehending this? The word is a holy mystery to be honored, to be wielded wisely, to be wielded lovingly. And yet, for all of its holy mysteriousness, we can still come to see clearly that no words can fully capture, fully pin down, fully contain what is here. They can gesture toward it. They can gesture toward it beautifully. Words can poetically evoke infinities beyond the mere connotations of the words themselves. Words can be pieced together in ways that can poetically gesture toward, the most subtle aspects and dimensions of experience. Language is truly astonishing in that sense. And yet, words can never pin it down. Words can never pin it down. And that's what allows this to be so free. All things are possible because this is so unpin-downable, because it's so much like a kaleidoscopic Rorschach splash, a chameleon shapeshifter that has this inherent quality of shape-shiftingness, this inherent nebulosity, this inherent indefiniteness. That is what allows it to be the perfect recipient for any story, any projection, any poetry, anything that we cast onto it through the word, through our meaning making. It convincingly seems to be that. It becomes that in a profound sense. All of our stories are real and true within their own context because the stories we tell and believe quite literally become our reality. That becomes our reality tunnel. That's how we create our reality tunnel. And again, all reality tunnels, all perspectives, all seeings, all seemings are fully included. All experiences are fully included. The sacramental mystery of being a father, being a mother, being a brother, a son, a friend, a grandfather, grandmother, grandson, that's all fully included. That's all so fully included in this tapestry, so fully included as the most heart-cracking sacramental poetry of how this is expressing, how this is as it is, what this is dancing itself forth as. And yet, simultaneously, it's always more than that too. It's always infinitely more than that too. It's always this completeness that is infinitely more than what we can say about it, than what we can pin down about it. We can always find infinite detail, infinite artistry that is outside the realm of any story that we're telling. Any story that we're telling inevitably misses an infinity of detail and information, because in each nanosecond there is a literal infinity of artistry and information and detail. If you look closely at anything, it just opens into more and more detail. You know, science actually demonstrates this in a beautiful way. If we look at anything under a microscope, the detail just keeps opening like lotus flowers within lotus flowers to reveal ever more infinite artistry of detail. And similarly, if we direct the Hubble telescope toward a micrometer in the night sky and we zoom in on that, it opens to reveal numberless bejeweled galaxies. Numberless bejeweled galaxies. So there is a literal bottomless infinity of information in all directions. And one could say that the process of non-dual awakening is simply becoming familiar with a fuller range of that information, a fuller range of the artistry that is here, a fuller range of the numberless modes and perspectives and subtleties and ways that this can present and ways that this can seem to be. And just noticing that there are these numberless modes, these numberless perspectives. No single mode or perspective can ever pin down this infinity. This infinity is always right here. This infinity is always this completeness of the moment where nothing can really be added or subtracted. And in that felt heart sense of this completeness, when the heart feels that completeness, there's an inherent flavor of coziness, at-homeness, gentleness, wholeness, rest, restfulness, grace, simplicity. It's unimaginably simple. And yet, even if that's not what's being experienced, even if this is seeming like pure chaos and the farthest thing from home and the farthest thing from rest and just a giant pain in the ass, that is totally included too. That's totally included. What is being pointed at through this inquiry of non-duality is that which is all-inclusive, that which is prior to any way that this can seem or appear to be. It's just this wholeness of now that is always holding, that is always resting as whatever it is seeming to be in that moment, always fully inclusive of whatever is seeming to be in that moment. Non-duality points to this inherent completeness and inclusivity of the moment that can never be fully described or pinned down, and yet fully includes, fully embraces all poetries, all stories, all experiences, all sacramental journeys of incarnation, all ways that this is, all ways that it can seem to be, all ways that it presents, all ways that it expresses, all ways that it dances, fully inclusive of all that juiciness, fully inclusive of all that juiciness. There is no separation whatsoever between all of that luscious juiciness and gorgeous humanity. No separation between any of that and the quote-unquote absolute. There is no absolute in a profound sense, or you can just say that it's all absolute and the personal is absolute. The highest teachings of non-duality, they don't create this subtle separation where it feels like, oh, I need to melt into the absolute back here and let the world become increasingly mirage-like and let the world be seen as this empty ghost that is meaningless and purposeless and can just be cast aside. That's another way this can look. That's another way this infinity can look. That can be an experience that occurs during the endless unfoldment of this exploration of itself. As this explores itself, it can look any which way. But when we concretize any way that it can look, when we concretize that experience of, oh, now I'm melting into the absolute and the world is being seen to have just been this insubstantial illusion, you can tell that story and you can try to turn that into a new dogma, but again, no story can contain the full picture, and that story can easily create this subtle sense of separation between the full juiciness here and now, the full humanity here and now, the full heartbreaking, exquisite love here and now, and whatever absolute is supposedly being pointed at. There is no absolute other than this completeness here now, and we can't even say anything about it. We don't even we don't really know anything final about it. So it's too much of a stretch to even call it the absolute. There's just this recognition that here and now is all that we've ever known. Have you ever been anywhere other than here and now? This is all that we know as human beings, and yet when we look at experience very closely, very directly, and we drop our normal human preconceptions about it, we can discover these astonishing qualities, this completeness, this wholeness, this self-sufficiency, this effortless radiance, this effortless all-inclusive radiance, the way that this completeness is this self-awake juiciness that is fully inclusive of any way that it seems to be, fully inclusive of all of its sacramental modes. Any way that it seems to be is nothing other than a sacred sacrament, a sacred dance, a sacred song that this this unknown nowness is singing to itself and as itself and with itself and through itself. Just this right here, this simple dancingness includes any way it can seem to be. All apparent complexity collapses down to this unimaginable simplicity of pure completeness now. Simple rest now that can look like anything and includes any way that it can look. Can look again like total chaos, total what the fuckness, total get me the fuck out of here. Looks like pain, looks like suffering, fully inclusive of all the pain and suffering. And noticing what this is more and more sensitively is not going to eliminate all pain and suffering from human existence. That's another dogma, another myth that makes quote-unquote enlightenment seem like this far away, unattainable thing where life just becomes pure bliss and we don't suffer anymore. No, that's not the case. That's not the case, because human life is inherently emotional. Human life is inherently painful. There just is a certain amount of grief and hardship of being a human being. We've all experienced that. No one, I strongly sense that no one can deny that they've experienced significant suffering in this life. And as long as we are connected to our humanity, connected to our hearts, connected to this juicy sacrament of human life, there's going to be pain and suffering, because we're connected to this collective experience. We're connected to this collective energy body that is screaming out in a profound sense, that is feeling large amounts of pain and suffering during this time of immense transition that we're all passing through. We're connected to that, and we wouldn't want to shut that off. This is an immature notion of spirituality, this idea that we should just want to be blissed out and in some kind of peak experience for the rest of our lives. It's an immature spirituality that looks for some kind of permanent state that is like, oh, I just want my life to become this endless peak experience, this endless permanent state of bliss like what I experienced on psychedelics that one time, it's not realistic. That's not going to happen, because if you look closely, no state even lasts for a millisecond. If you look closely, everything continuously dances and shifts. Any sort of energy in the body that seems to be a state, if you look closely at it, it's continuously morphing and shifting and dancing. It turns into something else before you can even define what it is. It turns into something else before you can even define what it is in a profound sense. It vanishes in the moment that it appears. And so a more mature spirituality sees the all-inclusiveness, sees that it's not a problem for this to show up as pain, as suffering. And the heart also sees that there's a profound purpose in pain and suffering. It cracks us open, it humbles us, it keeps us connected to humanity, it keeps us connected to the poetry and beauty of this experience. It opens the heart of compassion. It makes us deeper, it makes us more profound. It salts and spices the bubbling curry of our beingness so that we can become, this sublime dish served on a silver platter to the whole. Pain and suffering are a huge part of how we get tenderized, we get worked, we get kneaded, we get juiced, we get digested through this unfoldment. And this allows us to connect, to truly connect and relate to others, and to be able to help them and serve them in much more profound ways, because we can actually truly empathize with what they're going through. Can you feel how much richness is added to this human life through the presence of pain and suffering and struggle and sorrow? It's perfectly reasonable to want to reduce that and want to help beings become liberated from that. And yes, this inquiry of non-duality does tend to diminish many forms of suffering in significant ways. It does, but to believe that it's going to just eliminate all pain and all sorrow from human existence, to believe that when your loved ones die, you're just going to be floating on a bliss cloud and you're not going to feel like the immense and oh so human grief of losing a loved one, that's a silly story. And would you really want to feel that way? Wouldn't you want to honor your loved ones by feeling that grief and letting that grief testify to what those relationships meant to you, what the presence of those people in your life meant to you? That's a gorgeous part of the human experience. We don't have to negate that. We don't have to get rid of that. We don't have to be afraid of that. That's another way that this completeness can be with itself, can present in this utterly sacramental poetry of all of its many modes dancing together. And that's totally wonderful. It's totally included. It's no less absolute than anything else. It's no less this completeness than anything else. This can look like anything, and this is inclusive of any way that it looks, and this is fully inclusive of our sacramental human journeys. And that feels so good to say, and it's just like, wow, it's natural during this process of non-dual awakening to, at some point create this kind of divide, and your life is swinging you so deeply into the unknowing and into the emptiness, into the nebulosity, into the unresolvability, into the insubstantiality, the dreamlike nature. It's natural during those phases to let the world go and to feel like the world is less real, less true, less it. But after that, a more mature realization reintegrates in this giant bear hug, this giant warm embrace. It fully reintegrates human life. As the Zen proverb goes, before enlightenment, mountains are mountains and lakes are lakes. During enlightenment, mountains are no longer mountains and lakes are no longer lakes. After enlightenment, mountains are once again mountains and lakes are once again lakes. This beautifully and simply points to this reintegration, the discovery of emptiness, the discovery of inherent nebulosity, and kind of the tendency to concretize that or fixate that or over absolutize that during the process of non-dual awakening, and then to come back and see that the sacramental human journey and the world is that too, to see that form is emptiness and emptiness is form, and there is absolutely no difference. Absolutely no difference. There's one thing, or you could say not even one thing, because this can't be quantified, this can't be contained. Just this suchness, just this thusness, inclusive of everything. Inclusive of everything. And how gorgeous is that? What a treasure that is. What a treasure that is. What a treasure that is to come back to the world, to reintegrate the world, to reintegrate our humanity, to not make anything less than or lower than or less real, less true, to just let it all be this suchness, let it all be this thusness, let it all be this miracle, this suprapersonal godness. Let it all be this silence, this simplicity. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've received something from this. Thank you for listening. Much peace, much love to you, much joy. Thank you. Thank you. One love, one peace. Amen. Namaste. Take care, family. Take care. God bless.